Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniature, and it's been a while, and I mean a good long while, since I had a nice and proper new core box from Malifaux. And when I saw the Jedza box, I knew I had to get these. This just was so up my alley, and just so Malifaux in its uniqueness. So we have Jedza, who basically is wandering the earth and the other side, in some sort of eternal life curse, and is trying to get that all dealt with. And she is the master of going places. Makes me fondly remember staring at maps all the time as a kid and learning the entire world when I was in 6th grade. But looks like it's going to be fun, and I'm betting you there's going to be lots of tiny little pieces. And speaking of tiny little pieces, we've got Sophie right here. You know that's going to be problematic, but it looks like a really fun little model. We've got the Lamplighters, and I'm sorry, but the first thing I thought of about looking at all three of them were the Black Mages from Final Fantasy IX. I'm probably dating myself there, but I don't care. And I'm probably going to end up painting that one like Vivi. It seems like it needs to be done. And then there's Mikhail, however you want to pronounce it, the 16th. There's been a lot of Mikhails then, but he is looking like a awesome JRPG protagonist or mini-boss, mid-boss, something. So, just a fun... I don't even know how these people all get together. What an interesting looking bunch. And they look like they're going to be very colorful and fun to paint as well, so I can't complain about that. Are there bases? Yes, they're hidden from my eyes on the screen. So these are keyword seeker. Hold on to those for later. I'm going to take a wild guess that Sophie is the only one who gets the larger base, whereas everybody else seems to be getting the smaller ones. Interesting. I thought they moved away from the magnet ones. I'm glad to see them come back then. 2.5 sprues. That's interesting. I don't think I've seen them this big before. First thing is, these Lamplighters look kind of large. And for Malifaux, that's probably a good thing. You can see how thin these parts are. That looks like it's part of Sophie, actually. Okay, maybe it's all Sophie. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. They're all bony skeleton stuff. Yeah, I think this is all Sophie, actually. Our undead cow or horse or whatever equestrian creature that has candles on the head. Yep, it's Sophie. Probably helps when I read the sprue. That's a lot of parts, actually, for just one model. That'll be kind of cool. Even if some of them are kind of teeny tiny. Alright, here's Mikhail. Doesn't look too ridiculous. I'm tempted to just paint him up in black, like guts. We'll see if I do that. Although the blue looks pretty snappy. Alright, here's all of Jedza's parts. Actually, that's not too bad. Of course, we have the parasol top separate from the stick. That doesn't look too ridiculous for a Malifaux figure. Lamplighters, actually, I still feel they look kind of big. Maybe it's just this one with this crazy... I guess if you're really into OSL, this is going to be a lot of fun. This is going to be a lot of fun trying to get that one off, especially right here. That's going to be a challenge. Like, the bodies don't seem too bad. This guy's actually almost all one piece, other than the backpack. And getting those little dangly bits off is going to be a challenge. It wouldn't be a Malifaux kit without some kind of frustration, right? And then our last lamplighter. Quite a few little pieces here. Oh, boy. Yeah, those are all in... Oh, my God. No, it's Malifaux. Honestly, though, I miss it. I haven't built any in a while. Most of the videos that I put up of recent Malifaux kits I've had just kind of banging around on my hard drive for some time and just hadn't had a proper chance to post them. So this is going to be a nice, refreshing course in why I both love and hate Malifaux, both at the same time. Mostly love. But anyway, sit tight. I'll get these all put together and we'll see just how they turn out. Alright, we got Jedza's crew all put together here, and let me just start off by saying this is absolutely a return to the Malifaux that I both loathe and love. We'll start with Jedza herself, and hopefully get her in a little bit better lighting. So, for the most part, she was not that bad to put together. The big challenge with her is actually getting things like that parasol off in one piece. And I made an awful gluey mess trying to get her all put together. This thing is really, really fragile. I have no idea. Oh, and her leg came off. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that was another thing that really bugged me about this group was the fact that there were a lot of individual feet to have to glue on the bodies. We'll have a one-legged Jedza for now. We'll obviously fix that up in a little bit. She can be a fun one to paint. My favorite of the bunch, Mikhail here, is he is now stuck on Sophie. Actually, was probably the simplest of the lot. Really quick, really easy, and looks really nice. Nothing too complex or complicated in terms of putting together. A little shorter than Jedza, even with one leg. But I think that's more down to his pose than anything else. Brighten it up a bit. Sophie. Sophie, actually, for as thin as she looks, was not that bad, I gotta say. And nicely enough, this tent just clips off. No, I did not break that stick on the back. That is actually how the tail is glued on. I was a little hesitant to put her together, and I wasn't sure where some of the parts went, but in the end, actually, she was not that bad. And we'll keep the tent off for purposes of painting. I'm glad that there is an easy access way to get that all taken care of, and she's actually pretty stable, surprisingly. And speaking of stable, then there's the Lamplighters. We'll start off with the easiest of the group and the most stable, but then I don't know, serious question, this crew, you're going to have to magnetize. I have absolutely no idea how you're going to be able to carry any of these without busting them up. It just, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, there's no denying, it's a cool looking group. But man, oh man, was it ever a challenge. As you can see, Jedza with her one leg. This dude, who just did not want to go together. His part, I mean, you can see I've got glue all over him. His feet didn't want to glue on. Those are individual feet in true Malifaux spirit. And hands. And the tip of his hat. Thankfully, this arm was attached to his pole, and there's a little notch in his shoulder to help facilitate that, I think. But then in the end, his lantern isn't hanging down correctly. So what do I know? She actually wasn't too bad, other than the fact that she's got an arm in there that you can't even see. And that lamp of hers is just too big, and it's just going to be a pain. It really is. But like I said, they're a really nice looking crew. If you can manage to not destroy them or get them covered in globs of glue, I think what you've got your hands on here are probably one of the most fantasy adjacent or easy entry for fantasy crew of any Malifaux group that I have experienced yet, to be honest. I think, you know, these Lamplighters would make great mages, constructs. I'm sure you can come up with all kinds of interesting uses for them. They're very unique looking. I mean, Sophie, obviously, we can use her as a pack mule or some other thing. Jedza would be a great mage. Mikhail, obviously, is part of a long, illustrious line of heroes with big swords. We'll put him in some very good company here. You can probably see why I wanted to have him. So yeah, even if I don't end up playing this crew, at the very least, I've got yet another cool-looking warrior with a big... You're dancing, dude. Big, honking blade. You can't ever go wrong with those in any kind of setting, in any kind of game. It doesn't matter how inappropriate or appropriate it is. We can always use those. So yeah, in terms of just size, you know, they're typical Malifaux models. I'm grabbing my alt Rafkin because she's the only handy model I have. I mean, Jedza is a little bit taller, but that's not like ridiculously proportioned. We're not talking like Kingdom Death proportions or anything where they're like a good 2 or 3 heads taller. But I think if you're using most regular, quote-unquote, fantasy models, they really would not look out of place with a lot of other stuff. And again, obviously you can't really see Jedza due to her parasol being in the way. But like if we bust out some of the Lamplighters instead, maybe. Great Frostgrave crew. You could probably squeeze them into some kind of Age of Sigmar group, I'm sure. I think there's just a lot of potential usage for this crew, more than almost any other I've come across in recent times. But then again, that seems to be the case with a lot of the Explorers Society guys. You know, if you can't use them in this, you can always use them in Shadows of Brimstone. That's another great use for a lot of these. I'm going to have to take a look at their cards. I really don't know how they're going to play, but I'm hoping that Mikhail is the super awesome hero that we all need and deserve. But honestly, it probably didn't help that I was building a bunch of Kingdom Death stuff at the same time as these, and that just added to my frustration. I mean, in terms of Malifaux models, I guess they weren't the worst that I've had to deal with. Certainly felt more frustrated with other kits, that's for sure. But overall, I mean, a nice, eclectic group of Obscurities for the tabletop, and we don't even have a leader there. So, keep your eyes peeled if you're interested. I mean, I have had a hard time finding Malifaux at retail, but, you know, maybe you guys are going to have better luck than me. And I might take a good long look at this keyword for them, since it seems like it might lead to some interesting looking models in the future. With that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.